Sir, yes. Whew. That's a real strange one. It sounds different every time you hear it, and I've heard it about a bunch of times, and I'm really getting into it more now. Billy Joel, one of the great Yes freaks. What's your reaction, Bill? First time you've heard it, right?
I heard it on that little cassette you played.
That was a live thing. This is the.
And I picked up the theme.
Right.
But yeah, that's great. I want to hear it again.
Oh, we'll play it again.
They keep experimenting with different modes.
Yeah.
You know, he's using a Dorian scale on that, which is like a sitar scale. You know, that's Steve Howe had a lot to do with it.
Right. On guitar.
Yeah.
Have you ever talked about the fact that you like Yes?
Yeah. When I go to do like radio station interviews, and they say, "Well, what do you want to play?" I usually have them pull a Yes album.
Right.
And play it, and they look at the watch and go, well, if I want, and you and I, well, we have news running into this. Well, that's what I wanted you to play, so they play.
Well, we'll do another Yes one later on. Let you pick one.
Okay.
But you're limited to 25 minutes on one song.
Okay.
No longer than that. That's about all we can spare. That's about, no, the longest one that they have is the new one. The new one is 21:55. WMMR in Philadelphia. And here, let's go to the tape of Captain Jack recorded live at Sigma Sound. Going back, I guess, let's see, what was the date on this? Do we have the date here? 1970, April 5th, 72. For Billy Joel, remember performing this track before he had ever recorded it. It has the famous drum mistake performed by his then drummer Reese Clark. Captain Jack sound like to you now after all these years? That was the one that. That's the one that did it all, Bill. Set it all in motion, legendary, and so on and so forth.
Well, it sounds very human.
Yeah.
I don't know, it sounds sloppy to me.
Yeah. Well,
but I don't know.
That was a great mistake.
Oh, that drum mistake. Every time
Classic mistake.
Reese thinks about that. Oh, they're playing that in Philadelphia. Oh, you know, he's from New Zealand with that accent.
Yeah.
He has a heart attack every time he thinks about that.
But for some reason, I guess the song, the performance, and the legend, and the man, whatever it was.
You get down.
Yeah, and mainly you went away for 2 years. I think that didn't hurt. The disappearing Billy Joel.
Yeah.
But then now you're back.
Yep.
Back with already 2 albums now. Street Life Serenade. We should play something from them, I guess.
Yeah.
But first we'll play some Traffic here. This is the title track, in fact, Billy picked out from When the Eagle Flies. When the eagle flies. Ooh, off-speed tape. Well, what do you know? Our equipment back in 1974 wasn't all that great. Well, we'll have much more of Billy Joel. That was from 74. We'll do a little bit more of that 74 interview in just a few moments. We continue with lots more early and rare interview stuff from Billy Joel. Actually, the 76 one, we get into some real interesting stuff, so stick around for that. Any requests? I've gotten a few already for some rare Billy stuff, so we'll try to track some of that stuff down and get it on this evening. Davy Johnstone, also from Elton John's band, will be in with us this evening around 10 o'clock. I was hanging out with Davy last night. Very interesting guy and great musician all these years with Elton, so I'm sure he'll have a lot of good stuff to tell us, and we'll share some of his music and Elton's music as well. So Billy and Elton tonight, how appropriate for them being in town these 3 days in Philadelphia, kicking off the tour. It was a great couple of nights and more to come. Don't forget, 11 o'clock tonight, it's a little off-speed. Got to get that tape deck fixed, but of course that equipment's all been junked by now. This is 20 years ago at the old 19th and Walnut Street studios of WMMR when Billy Joel dropped by on one of his many visits. We've heard your story about the piano business, and then you disappeared for a while, played piano, and just sat back. But now you've been out on the road making albums, doing gigs, and in fact, you just did the 2 the other night here, and one more is scheduled for tonight.
Right.
But what's been like for you? Has it changed you think, or what have been your experiences now that you're really right in the mainstream of showbiz again?
It's a lot easier to come on stage when you're headlining. For one, we have our own sound company now and our own lights, so we're pretty well assured that we'll get a good sound, we'll get the right treatment from the sound company. And, audiences are familiar with the material and they're more responsive to it, which I guess happens when you're headlining. You just get people coming to see you. It's good. I don't think it changed any. You
don't think your ostentatious garb is a little bit much?
This is just for Philadelphia, man. I took it all off anyway.
I see. Yeah, really? Please. We don't want people coming up here in droves.
I wouldn't mind.
Oh, okay. All right, then. Well, they know where we are. The concert tonight, we're not sure if it's sold out. I think it's like nearly sold out or something. There might be a few tickets available, but it's Thanksgiving and like the offices are closed. Nobody knows anything today.
Yeah, I know.
But,
I lost all my shirts in the laundry and I can't get them back today.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Well, if you have some, do you have any extra tickets? Maybe you could stand out in front of the concert and sell them in case anybody wants to come.
Well, some of our road crew does that with comps.
Do they?
Yeah. They scout the comps. It's a way to make money.
I see. We just played that tune Mexican Connection, which is the one that you use sort of to open the show. The tape plays, right?
Right.
To sort of get the people in the mood. Is that what it's for?
Yeah, it's kind of an opening to a Western.
Yeah.
It's a Western movie soundtrack, and we kind of play it as a prelude almost to a movie, the way they use soundtracks.
Mm-hmm. It works. It really works well. We're going to do The Entertainer, which is this autobiographical, Bill?
No, it's not autobiographical. It's a put down. It's a sticking a pin in the balloon of the performer. So
it's sort of cynical. What made you cynical to the music business? Was it just hanging around for a while and watching it happen? Mm-hmm.
Well, just seeing all the baloney that goes down. I'm a composer, and everything else is an extension of that. Being a recording artist or being a performer is an extension of being a composer. And when the entertainer side gets blown out of proportion, if I started to believe all the things that I hear about me, I'd be walking around like, hey, I'm a star, and getting into it. So it's kind of a put down in that whole thing.
Here's The Entertainer, Billy Joel.
Thank you.
And we'll see you at the concert tonight. Another one with Janice and you.
Right.
And it seems to be starting at 8.
I hear it starts at 8, and I hear the tickets say 9.
The tickets say 9, which is quite confusing.
Yeah.
But presumably it'll start at 8 o'clock. And I think if there are any tickets available, there might be a few, and that they'll be available at the Academy of Music tonight. This is Manfred Mann's Earth Band here, and you're one of our just old-time favorite cult heroes, Bill. You just
what's a cult? It sounds like the Manson family.
Yeah, right. A cult is when I don't know. I think what it is a cult is when there's two kinds of cults. There's the cults that are right and the cults that are wrong, right? So the people who know about somebody who's great before anybody else does, that's a cult. Then also the fanatics who like somebody that's terrible could be considered a cult. And nobody has ever decided what... maybe that's not true. Maybe he's not terrible. What do you think?
I don't know. I've heard so many definitions of cult. I've heard like a group like Yes that headlines Coliseums. People tell me, well, they have a big cult following. And I said, well, that's a cult? They headline Coliseums. Well,
100,000 seats here.
100,000. So, I don't really know what it is anymore. If the criteria for success in being a musician is to headline huge Coliseums, then maybe I'll stay a cult artist,
Maybe a cult artist is one that doesn't get hit singles. Maybe that's it.
Well, Tull, they headline huge places.
And he basically doesn't get hit singles occasionally. You had one. You had two, right? Piano. Piano Man was it?
Right.
Hit?
Right.
The Entertainer was sort of, was it?
Yeah. Semi-hit.
Semi-hit. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
It was maybe too strong.
Yes.
Should we talk about this, by the way?
No, I just wanted to see what you thought.
No, there was a nice little article on Billy here. Are you bitter, Bill?
No, I just want to find a guy I'm going to beat him up. So.
Oh, well, then we should tell. If you see this guy, Stephen Holden from the Village Voice, hit him for Billy because you told me once that you used to review records. So you're familiar with that critic thing.
Yeah.
And don't like it.
Well, I used to get him on a mailing list, so I didn't pay for him.
Right.
And when I used to go to a show to review a group, I didn't pay to get in. They used to give you a seat in the press section, and you get to be very jaded. You just feel like, well, I'm sophisticated, and I didn't pay, so I'll pass my, expert opinion on it. And after a while, I did I did a bad review of somebody once. I did a bad review of Al Cooper, which to this day I still feel bad about. And if he ever runs into me, I don't blame him if he smacks my lights out.
He probably doesn't make the connection.
Well, I think he does.
Oh.
I think somebody told me he remembered who I was from that. But, you know, I think the kid who stands in line for an hour and a half, a 17-year-old who paid $6.50 and didn't like the concert, should write a review.
Right.
Or the kid who went out and spent his hard-earned money on an album and feels he got burned, he should write a bad review. Or a good review if he likes it. You know, there's something that's close, they're closer connected to it.
Yeah, well, that's obviously not ever going to happen because the people who write, you know, there's sort of a privilege implied in being a writer, or for that matter, even doing this. So.
Well, this particular guy reviewed the last album in Rolling Stone, and I've been, every time we tour, giving him the Italian salute.
Yes.
So obviously the word has come back to him.
Well, he has a problem. He doesn't like you much, is what it is.
That's okay.
So.
Sure, I mean, I've managed to inspire venom, which is better than apathy. You know?
Yes, Billy Joel mongers on. But he claims you ooze talent. See, that's the weird thing. He says you're just great, except you're terrible. So well, what does that mean?
That means when you write a good review, you have to qualify it by throwing something bad in. So when you write a bad review, you have to qualify it by throwing something good in.
If you like something, I found that's true in general in media and print. If you like something, you're considered some sort of moron. You've fallen susceptible to, you're gullible, and you've foolishly allowed yourself to like something which is obviously, you know.
Right. Don't go too far out on a limb and leave a little room for yourself.
Listen, I talk about artists all the time that I like, and people say, really, you'll drive somewhere to see them? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, well, I like them. Oh, well, you know what, yeah, but it's just a group. I mean, it's just, well, anyway, saw you up at the Bottom Line in New York the opening night. It was good. You see, you tend to talk a lot. I guess people, maybe, he could be just doesn't like it. That's one explanation. The other thing is I don't understand your particular outlook on things.
Obviously doesn't, because the thing he said that motivates me is the show business getting ahead type of thing, which I'm kind of the antithesis.
The Entertainer was, the Entertainer, for example, showing you, looking back on your career, Bill, the Piano Man was sort of nice. It was a sort of interesting, sort of a rough outlook too, but I mean it could pass for a nice little tune, you know, and it was a hit. But it sort of had a bitter background to it also. But the Entertainer came right out there, and you could have put out some nice little tune and probably had another bigger hit.
Well, I think they wanted Piano Man 2.
Piano Man Part 2, yeah.
Right. Or the continuing story of the Piano Man, which I didn't want to do. I didn't want to fall into no bad.
Well, you moved out to L.A. then. I remember visiting you out there in L.A. And you were
Hollywood.
In Hollywood, up in the hills. Yeah.
That was fun.
With the singing dog, Alice.
Right. Who sang the blues.
Yeah. Great singing dog act. Yeah. I told you, listen, if the career falls through, get the dog up there, because, listen.
Alice should have opened for me.
She's sold around now?
Oh, yeah. The agency wouldn't buy the act, though. No place.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me play another tune here. The one you started to sing a moment ago, which I interrupted.
Oh, I'll go back to the piano.
Which you started to, okay, while Billy's singing down at the piano, we're WMMR in Philadelphia. Oh, you wowed up the piano there, Bill. We were talking about this whole business of career pursuit and stuff. I remember, I think it was the last time you were in. Was it the last time you were in? That Janice opened for you, Janice Ian opened for you, and she's been plugging away for years and years, and finally got a hit single, and it seemed to be doing great for a while. I mean, I don't mean that she isn't, but I mean she was very visible for a while with that single, and now she's sort of not quite as visible. And you went through that. Also that night we remember that Barry Manilow stopped in to see you, and we brought Bruce Springsteen along, and all got together afterward, and it was interesting to hear the different outlooks on careers and pop music. And remember Barry said, "I'm going to be the biggest star here." And at that point, no one had ever heard of him. Remember?
Yeah. And he had that Mandy started really happening.
Right. And Bruce sort of said, I don't know what's going on.
I was trying to get everybody to have a drink, and nobody would. Yeah. I just ate Barry's French fries that night.
Barry's French fries. Have you seen Barry since?
No, I haven't seen him.
Well, what do you think? Do you have any reflections now on that historic meeting? And
Yeah,
what happened?
I got along fine with Bruce.
Yeah.
It was kind of like New Jersey and Long Island.
Yeah.
Kind of hit it right off the bat. Hey, you know, that kind of thing. But
He jammed with you once later, didn't he, at Passaic?
Rutgers University.
Rutgers.
He showed up. We did Twist and Shout or something like that.
I wish I had seen that.
He hitched down there. I mean, he'd been hitching to gigs for years, you know. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I'm glad we all got together there.
Yeah. Interesting that the different, I don't know what I'm going to say, but the different audiences that artists have to find for themselves, I guess. You know, there's little variations. I mean, you're sort of, you know, where do you categorize yourself? Or you could say, well, I don't, Ed,
I don't, Ed.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know. I keep changing all the time.
Mm.
Basically think of myself as a musician. And I'm going to be eclectic, you know.
You're going to be eclectic?
As long as I can.
Do you care if you have hit records?
To tell you the truth, I don't really care. But the record company does, because it makes you more visible and it sells more records, and it makes you a more commercially viable product, as they refer to you.
You can sell more product. You can sell more units that way.
More units, right. And
of course, they drop you, as they say in the business.
Well, there's people who've been going for, you know, Gordon Lightfoot.
Yeah.
He's a guy, I mean, until sundown. I guess you could have called him a cult artist, but I always thought he was great, and he can keep going on forever, as far as I'm concerned.
You still like him?
Yeah, I still like Gordon Lightfoot. I don't know. There's just some people you hook into. And
this guy claims that you have no. What is this? You have no allegiance to a particular tradition or something. What do you?
Well, why should I? I mean, should I base my roots on Chuck Berry or? I never liked old rock and roll to begin with. I only liked rock and roll when the Beatles happened.
Oh yeah.
I was a Beatle.
What did you like?
I liked jazz and I liked classical music, and I liked Phil Spector productions. But that was about it. I didn't care for the whole, you know, Paul Anka, Bobby Rydell scene. I was a Beatle nut because they were just clever and they were different, and witty, you know, intelligent.
Your first band really was the Hassles. Right? I should have brought the Hassles record in, but I'm sure you wouldn't want to hear them anyway. But that wasn't really. Was that? Would you think Beatle influenced that?
No, that was. I just played the Hammond organ. I didn't really have much influence in the group. That was, you know, like a Young Rascals era band, which was typical. You had a group here, the Soul Survivors, which was kind of the same feeling. You know?
Well, after that, you did Attila, which was sort of your heavy metal week, right?
Yeah, that was about 6 months.
Well, how did you decide to get into this whole... I mean, you didn't really win talent shows, as you're accused of.
No.
How did you decide to quit reviewing records and start playing music? You'd always played... I guess you'd been trained.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd always written songs. I'd always admired people who wrote good songs. I always liked McCartney. McCartney's one of my idols.
Right.
And he just wrote these great songs in all different veins. And he'd write country songs and 1920s type songs and great melodies. And I'm a musician and I like to write melodies. And the first album was basically just a collection of songs that people in the music business told me, well, if you want to get your songs heard, make a record. Okay, so you make a record. Then they tell you, well, if you want to get your record heard, you go on the road. Okay, so I go on the road. Well, if you want to get noticed on the road, you have to do this, get into performing and, you know, expand your performing capabilities. So I got into that, and, you know, it became Billy Joel, which in a way is kind of funny.
Right.
At this point, it's a little ironic to me. I got into it as a songwriter, and now I don't even have the time to write songs for other people. You know, I'm just trying to get my own albums together.
I remember when we went up to this place, Peter's apartment, where you were filmed doing the Piano Man. I remember seeing you get mobbed by a bunch of fans outside, and that was sort of, maybe that was, I don't know if it was the first time it ever happened, but it was really intense out there, getting mobbed by fans, and I sort of...
It was weird.
It feel funny, yeah.
Yeah, I still feel
It was right when the Piano Man single was happening on Top 40. We were just getting started. And that must be weird for you.
It's still weird. I'm not...
Well, it's still very intense here in Philadelphia. I mean, last night's thing was very intense. Those people were real crazy for you out there in the audience.
It's strange. I mean, there's pockets in the country where we've played or we've built up some kind of reputation, and like Memphis, Tennessee, I mean, it's crazy. It's like Elvis Presley down there. Or Salt Lake City or St. Louis or Canada. some parts of New York, down south. I don't know.
The cult is
Yeah, there's no pattern to it. I mean, it's just where we've been or wherever there's, a lot of excitement.
That's that's what it is. It boils down to the same thing with Brewster happened that way. It's who knows about you. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's who's been able to see you and find out about you.
Yeah.
And that where you have the following. If they've never seen you, they don't know you, they haven't heard you, etc. They, they can't be faulted for not liking you. They didn't saw you. Talking about melodies, it must be. That fascinates me the most about writing melodies, coming up with what I call eternal melodies. Just the classic, instantly memorable, beautiful, whatever. And that's what I think this song is, which is from Billy's new album, I Love These Days. I just think it's one of the greatest melodies I've ever heard. I'm sure you agree. Well, it's good. I like it. Here it is, Billy Joel. WMMR Phil. If you'd like to talk to Billy, our number is 561. Well, that's an old phone number. There you go. And that's some more of the 1976 interview with Billy Joel, recorded live right here at 93.3 WMMR. We'll check in with Bill Matter and Shadow Traffic, another show report in a moment, and more with Billy Joel, Davy Johnstone from Elton John's band, our guest, in just a little while. The Cafe back to 1976. I have never replayed this tape from the time it first aired live right here on WMMR. At this point, I believe we haven't been talking about having ambition or having no ambition.
I don't think I have any.
No ambition. I don't think I do either. That's tough. And then somebody asks you, what are your ambitions?
Just let me get through the day.
And the night.
And the night.
Yes.
Right. I worry about tomorrow.
Tonight, you're going to do basically, why, there's Steve Monterano. So? What? I can't hear you, Steve. Well, open the door and walk in. I mean, this is loose here. What?
Well, I have ambition.
You have ambitions?
I have enough ambition for all of us. Okay.
Steve has ambitions. Well, Steve Monterano will be discussing his ambitions at 2 o'clock this afternoon here at WMMR. Same show tonight. What do you think? We're sticking some different things, or what are you going to...
Well, we'll change it around. I'm going to play it more by ear.
Yeah. Do you like when people from the audience walk up on stage and shake your hand?
That was a little strange. I was just worried about how the security people were going to react to it.
Yeah.
Because the cops started coming on the stage.
Yeah, well, you have the mellowest stage crashers.
Yeah, they don't exactly wreck the
artists.
equipment.
I've seen artists almost get killed up there with some people, and they just walked up and hey, Billy, and what they say to you?
Hey, great show, and the guy held my hand up like I was the champ. And I don't know, it was just strange. Where did he come from? How did they get up here?
Right, and then they just walked off. They went off. But they sort of took a bow. I mean, it was like they're like the spokesman of the audience. They're like representing the entire audience. The whole audience can't go up on stage, so somebody designates himself as the spokesman to go up and congratulate you.
But you never know how the security people are going to react to it. That's what I was worried about.
No,
somebody was going to pick him up and throw him.
Well, they're very mellow, usually at the Academy. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, I like that hall.
Okay. Billy Joel at the Academy tonight, sold out.
Right.
Thanks for coming up. I'll play you some John Anderson. Okay. Well, let's do some Billy Joel, as a matter of fact. Had some requests for this one, the one that he credited with me for playing a lot early on. I guess I did. I don't know.